we'll do a consent agenda.
All members are present. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Supervisor Wickman, second by Supervisor Schultz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Next up, we got John Rouse, County Engineer, public hearing for consideration and establishment of a secondary road assessment district on Leisure Avenue from Old Lincoln Highway to Lookout Lane. Public hearing for consideration and establishment of a secondary road assessment district on Leisure Lane Avenue from Lookout Lane to Chalet Lane. Concurrent public hearing. So we need a motion to open the public hearing.
So move. Second. Mitch, will you hold that back?
I don't know.
Did you make that motion?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Supervisor Wickman. Second.
Oh, you want to add that? Okay.
Supervisor Schultz. Okay, roll call.
Chairman Belt,
Aye.
Supervisor Shea,
Aye.
Wickman,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
and Groby. Aye.
Okay, today we're gonna have a public hearing, and kind of set a little ground rules. You'll have to step up if you want to speak, and give your name and address for the record. And then we're gonna probably keep it to 3 minutes and keep it germane to what the subject is. So those speaking opposed are welcome to come up and speak their piece. Oh, well, last I saw, there was no written.
There's four.
Oh, there are. Those
Yesterday and this morning.
Okay.
Written
So-
objections. I don't know if you want me to read those or file those.
Well, we have to receive and file those and put them in the record.
Yeah, they have until noon today to file a written objection, by the way the code's written. So even after the meeting, they can still come in, I guess.
Okay. Do they need to be read into the record or not?
I don't think they need to be read, they probably need to be received.
Pardon?
I don't think they need to be read, I think they probably need to be received.
Received?
So if you've got copies of those, I think I can give them my copies, I've only got 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them scanned in and their date stamped and everything,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we can enter those in the record.
So do we need a motion now or after the public hearing?
You could still have some come in after the public hearing, because the deadline for the written letters was noon today.
Okay.
So you could have more. We'll enter those in the record if more come in.
Well, first, this gentleman back here had a question.
Can't we hear publicly what those,
Well, we'll print them out and they'll be public record.
we read them?
Well, we don't have them all. We can,
I second the concern. If
Right.
we're here to have an open discussion about the pros and cons, then we all should know what at least is on the table today. What comes after the fact comes after the fact. But if it's here today, I believe it should be openly discussed today.
I mean, I don't have a problem either way, so.
You just have to
John, just bring them
my
up here and
voice,
I'll
that's
read them
all.
off.
I'm not volunteering for that.
so do we need to receive and file these letters before we read them? Do we need a motion to receive and file these before we read them?
You're in public hearing, so if
Okay.
you can just conclude that these are statements of opposition.
Yeah.
Okay.
John, do you want me to read them or you want to do it?
I'm fine letting you do it.
For sure.
You're my favorite supervisor today now.
All right, so this one, O. Warren Brewer Jr., P.O. Box 35, Crescent, Iowa, 51526.
Is Mr. Brewer here?
No.
Okay. Understand that I'm just reading these and that it's not my opinion right now, so. Potawatomi County Board of Supervisors regarding Leisure Avenue Secondary Road Assessment Districts. I'm objecting to the formation of these road assessment districts for several reasons. This matter was put to a vote of the property owners that will be impacted by this action at the last election and was voted down by the property owners. It appears to me that few individuals are unwilling to abide by this vote and are searching for another way to have their way. This seems quite unfair to me, as well as a waste of the board's time. I also feel that this special assessment could be a financial hardship to some of the property owners. As we know, other taxes and costs of living are rising rapidly, which makes a financial hardship even more likely. If these individuals wish to have their road improved, it should be submitted to a vote of the property owners and not involve the Board of Supervisors. I request that the Board of Supervisors not, and he underlines not, form these Leisure Avenue Secondary Road Assessment Districts. Thank you for your consideration. O. Warren Brewer Jr., and he puts his address and parcel number. So again, these will be available on the, we'll scan these in, so if you want to access them on our website, you can.
John, you sent that letter to the board, so I've already seen this.
I scanned those, the last one came in right before I came over, so you have not received it.
Okay, this one is coming from McGinn Law Firm. It's addressed to Mr. Rasmussen. Subject is proposed secondary road assessment district. Please be advised, undersigned represents Mr. David G. Porter and Mrs. Tracy A. Porter, 25245 Lookout Lane, Honey Creek, Iowa, 51542, relative to the proposed secondary road assessment district that would encompass their premises if enacted by the Potawatomi County Board of Supervisors, in quotation, the board. Pursuant Iowa Code 311.11 parentheses 9, please accept this correspondence as my client's written objection to the establishment of a proposed secondary road assessment district. While I have not yet had occasion to review the appointment report, I would also register my client's objection to that document as well for the purposes of preserving their rights to do so. I look forward to appearing with my clients at the upcoming board meeting concerning this matter so that they will further educate that body as their opposition. Further educate that body as their opposition. Signed, McGinn, Springer, No PLC, Com again. Here we go, handwriting. Let's see what's going on here.
Did you want to see these?
Okay, here we go.
No, I've seen those.
Dear Sirs, I am submitting this letter. This is Joey, I guess this is Joey Bauer Sr., and that's 18364 Leisure Ave, 18364. Dear Sirs, I am submitting this letter in regards to Leisure Avenue Secondary Road Assessment. My name is Mrs. Joey Bauer Sr. My husband and myself oppose the road resurface proposal. The hill on Leisure Avenue is one concern. Having lived on Leisure all my life, I can attest to how hazardous it is in the winter. The top of the hill, snowpack melts and refreezes ice as it gets down the road, where it is shaded and remains frozen nearly the entire winter. With no possible chance of catching a spot of gravel, I can only imagine the disasters that could occur. Our family has for years aided people who get stuck on the hill all through the day and night with tractor and chains. To keep the roadway open for other traffic. Some years back, we pulled an ambulance up the hill who had gotten stuck on the hill. On a call, a person passed because of this precious time. I personally worked in the winter pushing snow with a tandem dump truck and a road grader for 33 years before retiring in 2012. So I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that side of the coin also. And there were occasions that I knew better than to try to make it home. It sometimes is 2 days, depending on a storm, before we can even see a maintainer clear the road and hill. Next issue, heavy equipment. We use our crawler Caterpillar on various properties from time to time and for neighbors, and the gravel is unhurt to travel from place to place. How would the new surface hold up? We have done this practice for many years. And then he asks about a grandfather clause. She asks about a grandfather clause. What equipment will clear Will they be obstructing the traffic to turn around? I can say from experience that turning around a truck and plow or road grader takes some time and real estate, it would be a hazard. Rain. During the rain, many times the edge of the road is washed out into deep ruts. Can you imagine how it would look if some of the rain were to not be able to soak into the road, but only runs off into already soggy shoulder? I believe it would exacerbate the problem. Signed, Mr. and Mrs. Joey Bauer. Stop the project. The majority don't want it, don't need it. So it looked like some of those were questions about how do they turn around and how is it going to be maintained. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Teresa McKern. Looks like she gave a parcel number. So 7644-242-00003. I, Teresa McKern, parcel number, object to the two proposals that are being presented to you. Petition number 1 is for Leisure Avenue, starting at Old Lincoln Highway in section 13 Crescent Township. Thence approximately 2,760 feet southeasterly to Lookout Lane in section 18 of Hazeldale. Number 1, I object to even being drawn into this proposal because I do not directly live on the road. My road is Rainbow Lane. I travel a quarter mile to a half mile up this road to reach my residence. I've been subjected to an easement through my property and already burdened by a county decision. I maintain this road. I do not ask the people along Leisure Ave to take care or maintain my road. Number 2, the people benefiting from this petition are the people living directly on Leisure Ave. Thus, when taxes go up or a housing development is allowed on this road, are they going to reimburse me out of my pocket for this personal gain or financial gain? I think not. Number 3, my concern is the rate of speed to travel on this road, so I can only imagine the speed when it is paved. It is a hazard and safety risk trying to pull people out of driveways when traffic flies down Leisure Avenue, sorry. Number 4, the money allotted to improve Lookout Lane is in no way benefits me or my property. I can use my own money to revamp my own driveway that needs much attention. Are these people on this proposed idea going to give money to help this cause? Again, I say object to this petition. Only a certain group will be benefiting from this proposal. Only for those with ulterior motives and financial gain. Objectively yours, Teresa McKern. That is all of the written comments.
Her address is 24939 Rainbow Lane, Melvin,
Okay.
in Honey Creek, Iowa, 51542. Okay, and you have until noon today to receive any other letters of against or for, right? Okay. So now we'll start the oral. So those speaking against, whoever wants to start, can come. You want to come up to the podium? Name and address for the record.
You can move that wherever it feels comfortable.
Oh, it's fine,
Yeah.
thank you.
Name and address, or who you're representing.
Good morning, gentlemen of the board. My name is Jim Comstock. The letter that you received from the McGinn Law Firm is from Kyle McGinn.
Yep.
I'm filling in for Kyle. We work about 5 feet from one another. My address, or the firm's address, is 20 North 16th Street, Counts Bluffs, 51501. I am here to represent David and Tracy Porter. Their home is at 25245 Lookout Lane, and that's Honey Creek, Iowa, 51542.
Can you give me that address again?
Sure, 25245.
All right, we already read a letter from them, 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll keep it probably below 3 minutes, but there are just a few points that they'd asked me to make on their behalves. As I'm sure most of you are already aware, Iowa Code Section 311.10 points out that the estimated cost of apportionment must be fair, just, equitable, and in proportion to the benefits, and not in excess of the benefits. It is their position, the porters that is, that the costs are burdensome relative to the benefits. They've been in their home at that location for nearly 35 years. They're very happy with the current status of the road. They feel that that's the assessment of, I think, roughly $5,100 per homeowner is excessive in compared to the benefits that they may be gaining. The second point we wanted to make was that we're also quite concerned under Iowa Code 311.11, where it indicates that, and that's subparagraph 8, that the amount of the assessment apportioned at any time, apportioned to any of the properties may be increased at the hearing without further notice. And then, of course, it's been pointed out by a couple of these letters already that the future costs and concerns of safety, costs of maintenance. The code, I believe, also indicates that if the road needs to be oiled, the owners along that path can be stuck for costs on that or any sort of maintenance. I mentioned they've lived there 35 years. They are at the top of the hill. Their children, when they were of school age, were picked up at a bus stop at the bottom of the hill. So they sat down there quite often with their children, and cars would fly by on gravel. Their concern is because of the hill and the resurfacing of it with ice and snow, and even just a smooth surface in the summer, that cars are going to fly through there. And the fear is when they pop up over that hill, if and when a bus is stopped there down the road, there may not be enough time in terms of safety to protect the children and or the bus driver. And then their final point, and I'll keep this very brief, is the concern that this assessment is an encumbrance on their home and everyone else's home that lives along that stretch. And so if they go to sell their homes, it could present problems. It's an additional cost for the future buyer of their home. So they're a bit concerned about that, not just for themselves potentially, but others that may be along that route. So that's it.
You mean because of the assessment?
Yes. Yep. I think it's spread out over a 10-year period according to Mr. Rasmussen. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. John, just one question before we go to the next one. Future road maintenance and costs are on us, right, on the county?
That'll be at the county's expense.
Okay. Okay.
John, will you address the road maintenance like during the winter? What?
The difference being is the gravel is maintained by a road grader, which those territories are about 1 per 80 to 100 miles, depending where you are. So servicing those in a big storm, it's 48 hours before we get that road open, or all the roads in the county open. So some roads are first and some are last. So when this moves to a seal coat, it'll change to a truck and plow with salt and sand. So there'll be a little bit difference, and we're usually done with those routes the day of a storm.
Okay.
Every storm's different, I guess.
My next question is about a caterpillar being on it.
Shouldn't be one on the gravel now, and definitely shouldn't be one on a seal coat.
Okay, who's up next?
You need to alternate pros and cons.
Pardon?
You need to alternate in public hearing, I think you need to, or to
Well, they're gonna
alternate
hold letters and
the
it
pros,
is what it is.
those for and those against,
Well, I don't believe so.
if I remember right.
Just move on.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Anybody else speaking opposed?
I don't really want to go up there, but I kind of have some concerns.
Well, we gotta get your name and address for the record.
Come on up, we don't bite.
Pinky, they built this thing up high, so it looks weird when you're sitting down there, doesn't it? It looks like we're sitting way up like a judge.
Okay, first of all, you know, I lived out there all my life. And
Can I get your name?
you got to start when in the winter. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
We don't know who you are.
I can't hear either if that's
You live
all.
in Potawatomi County?
Yeah, we
Okay.
live on 18364 Leisure Avenue.
And your name?
Iva Bauer.
Okay, thank you. You can go ahead now.
Okay, now I'm clear. In the wintertime, to get up the hill, even with gravel, you have to get a darn good run to get up the hill. And once you commit yourself to going up that hill, if somebody else is sideways in the hill or blocking, then you have to be able to try to back down because there's no starting from the middle of the hill. And the hill is shaded, and what melts up at the top runs down and refreezes, and it's usually ice all the rest of the winter.
It's on a curve.
Like I said, I pushed snow for 33 years for the city of Council Bluffs, so I know what it takes to turn around a truck or a plow or a road grader, because I run a road grader and a plow for them. And it takes a lot of, as I said, it takes a lot of real estate. It takes a lot of room to turn around and time. It's not something that you can just do a quick 5-point turn and be on your way. You're going to be blocking traffic. And there's more traffic on the road and faster traffic than there's ever been all my life growing up. And on one side of the hill, there is a pretty substantial drop-off that could cause great injury if anybody, once you start sliding down the hill, you're not going to get stopped if you don't have any gravel at all to catch yourself. And like I said, the side of the road, when we get a substantial rain now, there's probably sometimes a 1-foot rut along the side of the road. And if the gravel isn't there able to at least soak up some of that rain, it's going to be even worse. In my opinion, we don't want it and we don't need it. We've been there for all of my life. We moved there when I was 5 years old. And I don't feel that it is a need. And if somebody feels that the need for it, then my opinion, it should be there at their cost. When you oil a road for dust control, then people have to pay for that. I believe that if they want a paved area, then they can pay for that too. Times are tough enough right now. The last 2 years have been total crap. And a lot of people are struggling. And since it's not a priority, I don't think it should happen. My opinion. Thank you.
Anyone else speaking opposed?
Alan Clifton, Alan, 17987, Leisure Avenue, Pine Creek. I'm going to follow a little different line of questions regarding the subject, and specifically the first proposal for the easement. I've lived out there as Mrs. Bauer has for almost 50 years. We've had the gravel road out there, and of course, we've had dust control with people wailing the road and stuff like that, which is their own volition. If they want to do it, fine. They aren't pushed into a group of people that some favor it and some don't. But I got a couple of different concerns. I'd like to know if this proposal is passed, when would the work begin? Anybody have any idea?
The engineer would.
It'd be next season,
Next season?
Spring, you saying spring then, or?
be July probably.
Okay. And then when would we be assessed on our property taxes for that?
I'd have to read the Iowa code on that one. It lags the work. I think it's in the first assessment in September, I believe.
Okay, so it'd follow.
I can follow up on that.
And then I guess thirdly, when would we have access to Lincoln Highway?
During the entirety of the project.
Pardon?
You'd have it during the entirety of the project.
Okay, that's another question I've had. And then I was kind of concerned too, if this does go through, if there is a way to adjust the speed limit and reduce it. I noticed on Minster Springs Road, they've got a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit with a road that's surface. Would that be something that would be considered?
It's already 35.
It's 55 when there's no signs posted
There's signs posted. 35.
on the curves.
Yeah, on the curve.
Straight away, it's 55. Ask the county engineer.
Well, it's more like 75.
Well, I agree with you there. The reason I know that is because I went in and talked to the county engineer a few years ago. And in hindsight, it was kind of ridiculous, but I requested a speed bump. And his response to me was he laughed. He said, nah, you can't put a speed bump in there, somebody go in the ditch. Well, people go in the ditch without them because of the speed. And you can check with him, is it 55 throughout the county on gravel roads if it's not posted?
Right, unless it's otherwise posted.
Yeah, and it's only posted on the curves. Okay. So I guess that was another concern of mine. And then, I guess, another concern I had, I think 3 different proposals on that road. Petition 1 twice and petition 2 another time. Well, on those petitions, one of them says the residents have to pay 20%, or the county would pay 20% of the cost. And then on one of the other petitions, I think the latest one we got, the county would pay, or on the first petition, the county would pay 30%. And on the last one, they'd pay 20. I don't know what it is. If it is 20 or if it is 30.
So,
Anybody answer that?
so on the county participations by the traffic count, so 200 vehicles a day, just 20%. If there's identified business, then the policy of the board is to kick in 10% for a business. I didn't have a business identified, so I pulled that off.
Yeah, how come you didn't have a business identified?
There was none zoned.
Yeah, and that's another question. Shouldn't there, if you got a business, shouldn't it be zoned?
Yeah, I don't know if that's, yes, it wasn't, I didn't find any zoned. If somebody makes a statement today, they have a business that's.
Well, then there's an illegal business on Lincoln Highway, or on Leisure Avenue off of Lincoln, correct? Because on one of the petitions, it says no zoned business, and then on one of the other petitions, it says one business on Lincoln Avenue, or on Leisure Avenue, correct?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I didn't find any zoned
Well, the
businesses.
petitions.
I don't know that I identified any businesses on there until later, after the petition was out.
Pardon?
I don't believe any of the businesses stepped up until the petition was out.
No, I can show it to you. Right here, I have it. It says
Company, it's safety, what's her name of that?
first.
Safety guard.
I mean, I have no complaint with that,
Safety
but
guard, Bauer, I think there's a couple of businesses. that would be located on both petitions.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta be, just so everyone's clear, we gotta be a little careful, like, there's differences between a business that is zoned as a business and then businesses that fall under an ordinance that the county allowed a while back where you could have a business out of your private residence. So it's not necessarily open to the public per se.
Wouldn't you have, excuse me, wouldn't you have a petition go around to see if somebody could have a business next to your house?
So
Used to be.
I don't wanna sit there and say yes, but it's case by case. It depends on what kind of, the simple answer is it depends. It depends on what kind of business. If your business is completely online and you're running it out of your home, yes, it's a business, but it's not really impacting, I guess, what this ordinance would look at. So I mean, there's a difference there.
In what way would it be impacting?
The semis drive it.
Yeah, I'm not, look, I'm not taking a side either way, just to be real
I'm
clear
just,
here.
you know,
So I get that you wanna ask these questions, but please understand that I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, and make my best decision I can based on the information I get from you. So you know, we have to be recognized that there are other ordinances in place that affect this decision, that affect how this code is written. So I agree, if there's a business that's operating illegally, we need to know about it, we need to take a look at it and deal with it. And if that changes the rate, then fine. And I said it last meeting, I'll say it again here, is that when we did this before, that I think it needs to be fair rate, period. So if there's two different sections of this road, I think everyone should be charged, you know, fairly and equally if this goes through. And again, I'm gonna say the word if this goes through.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, we can look into it, but
well, you know, I really don't have a problem with it, but like I said, there's semis that go in there and service it, and employees that go in and out that don't live there, that would be utilizing the road. Pardon?
And tearing it up.
And tearing it up.
If it goes through.
And I guess,
But it's a farm to market road also. So like the farm.
I don't think
farmers
it's designated a farm market road.
Anytime there's farmers on there, they run their semis
There's
up
farmers
there.
all over the county, but they're not all farm to market roads.
Correct, but they do run their semis up and down there.
I've seen, just since this petition went through, I've lived there, like I said, almost 50 years. One semi's gone up and down there just recently, 4 or 5 times. Other than that, never, per se. You know, it's I don't know, it's kind of a, it'd be nice to have a hard surface road, but with it brings cost, and with it brings speed and more people. I understand that you do a hard surface road, then you can open up your land if you got enough land to develop it, which is gonna create more people, and create a hardship on the water table. And those are concerns that I have. And then, I guess last but least, on this petition for the number 1 petition, or the first one, you gotta have a certain percentage of the people approve it. And I'd like to know how many, right now I've counted 4 that are against it. And with the number of people, I think 18 in that span is right on the borderline. Is that correct?
I don't know, John, do you have the petition count, I guess, or?
So I'm thinking it's 14 out of
14 out of
18, yeah,
78%.
78%. So it's right there, right on the line. I don't want that to be a determining factor in the decision. That's all I got. Sorry.
Thank you.
John, I think, you know, you brought up Minster Springs, and that speed limit sign's in my front yard, by the way. But, that whole idea of speed limit signs on the corners, I do think regardless of whether or not this goes through or not, I think we need to take a look at that and see if there's anything we can do to help there. I mean, we've heard it from both sides that there's an issue with speed on this road, so no matter the outcome of this, I just ask you to take a look at that, please.
Anyone else speaking opposed?
I just have a question. It says that the county pays a certain percentage, and it says down here that the last vehicle count was done in 2016.
Get your name and address for the record.
My name is Teresa McCarn. I live at 24939 Rainbow Lane.
Okay.
So the count is like 5 years off. So I was wondering, like, you know, they were saying that the county should pay a different percentage. Excuse me. And the last count was in 2016. So we're not accurate on that count either. And my other concern is, like the assessment on our properties. Is that how this happens when you guys are gonna charge us? Then is that how it comes up on our property taxes?
It'll show up as a special assessment, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, it shows up basically as another item, another line item that you get on your tax form as a charge. Now, however you bill
That's why
that,
I have a concern about it also being a financial concern.
yeah, I mean,
But that was my main thing, is that we don't have a current count then on vehicles either from 2016, and it is 2021.
Right, so we use the DOT count, just have a fair count, I guess. And they didn't publish 2020 data due to COVID because the counts were all lower. So it kind of affected the traffic counts, so they threw those out. So I don't know if we'll get a count in 21 or when they're gonna catch that up. But our 2020 counts were discarded by the DOT, I guess, for everything being lower and being skewed.
So the count would do, if it was increased, would do what?
Yeah, the county's participation is based on the traffic count. So if it's 200 vehicles a day, the county would pay 20%. If it's 300, we'd pay 30%. So as the count increases, the county participation
I mean,
increases.
that's unless we choose otherwise, right?
Unless you choose otherwise, yes. After the hearing, you can change that.
John, where do they count the traffic at on that particular road?
Some of those are estimated and some have those little tube counters they pop around with.
I mean, is it on the end of the road by Lincoln Highway, or is it up on the hill? What do they do?
They usually catch them at the intersections and try to figure out which way traffic's going from an
Okay.
intersection to get a segment.
And our last count is,
Was 200, and there's that.
no, what year?
Oh, 2016.
16.
She's correct. So, and that's not an Iowa code, that's something we do locally. Just when I'm talking to petitioners, I need to know, some ground rules or starting points anyway, so we kind of use that as a county participation number. Just so people know what it is or have a start.
Okay, we'll move along. Those speaking in favor, do we have any?
Eugene Ehrenholz, 25250 Lookout Lane, Honey Creek. I know, as I stated previously here, to do this petition is so wide open. I mean, there's 1,000 different ways we can do it. I think long-term, there's an opportunity if you decide on a protocol or some direction for us to go, and I can appreciate some of the things said. One thing that I'm curious, John, though, the road that has the 1-foot ditch in it after the heavy rain, man, we got the hills out there, we get the rain, it's a real problem. But if we have the proper road there, that it's hard surface, we should not have that 1-inch ditch there. And I don't know. And also, would we not have it so that the moisture would go off? I mean, they're not gonna engineer that to all run down the hill,
The water should get off sooner, but there'll still be a road along the edge.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, but you're still gonna have 22 feet of hard surface road to navigate on. The other thing is, I've moved a lot of snow in my life too, and I tell you what, when the melting snow turns to ice, I mean, my philosophy, I get out there and I do it right away. The sooner you get it done, it has a significant impact on the buildup because it don't get a chance to melt or whatever. If we get a better service on that road for moving snow instead of worse, I would think that would move us in a positive direction as far as that curve is concerned. But, the steepness of the hill is there, that's not gonna go away, and the ditch is there, and that's part of living out there, I understand. The one reason that there were so many differences there were so many versions of the petition was because of all the variables in the equation. But this last one, we have 18 people that have mailboxes there, and 12 of them were in favor of it. So of the other 6 remaining, 2 of those were in favor. One was in favor of it until the information came out about a 36 housing development. And I don't know if that cooled his jets, whatever, but that person backed out. And one of the other persons told me that it was not a question of finances, but, and that he would not stand him against it. And if I needed his vote at the end to reach the requirement, he would definitely vote in favor. Well, that changed as well. But at the end of the day, we've got 12 of the 18 that want it. And if you combine the two of them together, we've got 18 people out of 25 that want it. I don't think you're ever gonna get 100% one way or another. I mean, but how do we move forward, you know? The other thing that, in the petition, the interest rate is 4.5%, and I figured that's just boilerplate stuff. We gotta have something in there. You gotta pull, like you said, the number's gotta come from somewhere. But more realistically, would 1.5 or 2%? I mean, in this money market, I don't know, you can decide that, but I think that 4.5% is probably a little excessive. I think that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I come up?
You got your one, we're in favor, you got your one shot in the barrel already.
Only the people that are in favor of it go up now, right?
I didn't know, I didn't hear his name and address for the record.
Okay.
We'll get that to you.
Did you bring it in for the record?
Yep, I remember they asked that initially. Initially requested that.
I mean, I know who you are, but.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I have a question. Heather Jensen-Smith. I live at 2494 Chalet Lane.
249 what?
Chalet Lane.
249,
24948 Chalet Lane.
okay.
And I guess this is a general question. I read through 311. What's not clear to me, we also received in our mailbox a shielded letter from unknown entities indicating that a housing project was going in with multiple housing and that this would allow this to happen. To the best of my knowledge, that's nothing but conjecture and it's grounded in absolutely nothing. Could you comment about how this would or would not allow such an event to occur? My understanding is that it in no way, shape, or form would allow 36 houses to go in. Could you just comment, at least from the county's perspective, is there any grounding in that type of statement wherever it came from?
No. We would have to have the road improved. It'd have to be a paved road, correct, John?
Right, so your current ordinance wouldn't allow a major subdivision, which would,
What constitutes a major subdivision?
a dedicated road for the parcels and more than 3 splits per 40. So you would be allowed to do a minor subdivision on that. And I guess I'm not the planning guy, but I think that only gives you 3 splits per 40 on that. So couldn't be anything more than a minor subdivision, and I don't know that there's, I guess I don't know what the potential is for that many splits, but it's only 3 per 40.
How many houses are in a minor subdivision?
4 on a 40-acre plot. So 10 acres each.
And there's a process that would have to be gone through to get to that.
4 more houses of cars.
Pardon?
4 more houses of cars going up and down Leisure, which we already have a traffic problem.
We can't
Right.
stop that.
I know you
You
can't.
can't
I
stop
know you
that.
can't. There's nothing you can do
You
about it.
know, there's petition, you have the right to petition the government to do anything, no matter what level of government. So,
Yeah, I mean, to further answer your question though, I mean, like a developer would have, those negotiations would be brought to the board. We'd have to have those conversations about whether or not they had to run water, sewer, all those things that go along with the development. I mean,
It's completely
depending what-
independent of what we're talking about today.
correct.
yeah.
And whether or not we do a major subdivision or minor subdivision of any of the current parcels, that could be done today regardless about whether or not we do anything to the road. Is that correct?
No.
That is not correct. So what do we gain and
You
lose?
gotta have hard surface road.
Do any, at 10, so if I have 40 acres and I want to divide that into 10-acre parcels, can I do that now?
No.
I could only do that if we
If there's a hard
pave the
surface
road.
So there's different road standards you have to have in order to meet those qualifications to get there. Now, while today you can't just go in there and build this 36 house subdivision, that developer could come in and say, I'm gonna pave the road from Old Lincoln to my subdivision, And it'd be really hard for a board to say no to something like that if they were gonna foot that bill. So, I mean, it's not possible by any means, but, you know, it really just boils down to the negotiations that happen with that developer. And we have had that throughout the county, so I mean, I don't wanna sit there and tell you, no, it's not possible, it certainly is.
But they're paying for their financial gain. We're not paying for everyone else to have financial gain.
Yeah, so ideally, you're only really paying to, and this is where I don't like the code, so just know that, but ideally, you're paying for the opportunity for that to happen. I mean, that's a true statement. I mean, if this road becomes a hard surface, bituminous surface, whatever we call it, you allow for minor subdivisions to be built off that. Now, those come back before the board, and we still have to say yes or no, but typically, we don't say no when there's more tax value to be added to the tax base. I mean, it just makes more sense that more people are paying tax to pay for better service. So, I mean, it keeps your taxes lower in the big picture. But I guess you could argue it on the road.
If you can answer this, Justin, how common is it for a contractor to come in that's gonna develop an area to take care of the road also? Is that fairly common?
To take care of it, you said, or?
To resurface it, as you've just discussed. Is that fairly common, or is that
It's
not?
happened, so, I mean, it's happened south of Highway 92 in a couple areas. I mean, I'm not gonna name out developers, but
No,
there's
I'm
examples
asking.
of it in Blue Central School District, for example, where it has happened. That's probably the best I'll give you on that answer. There's some occurring right now. I mean,
You got one more question or comment, and then we're gonna,
I want to speak in support of it, so.
okay.
My name is Matt Smith, 24948 Chalet Lane.
You gotta talk a little slower for my ears, son.
249, Matt Smith, 24948 Chalet Lane.
Okay.
I'm just here on behalf of the residents of Chalet Lane. None of them can make it today except me. We're all in support of the petition, so. We understand the potential issues. The subdivision was a big kind of red flag for us initially, but talking to the county and the planning department, it sounds like that's maybe unfounded. Maybe a few more subdivisions could go in, like a minor subdivision, but that's probably a very remote chance of happening, so anyhow, that's all I had to say.
Mitch, Chalet's the one that straight south there? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, Chalet is,
That's Rainbow.
yeah, so all 5 residents on there are in support of the petition.
Okay.
Okay, did you have one more?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Get a,
Anyone else have any other comment they'd like to make? You two young ladies in the front, you want to make it? Okay.
My name's Kathy Reef, and I live at 18022 Leisure Avenue. It would be a benefit to us. I understand everybody else's concerns about that hill. We've lived out there for 45 years. We had children that went to the Underwood School District because of the dividing county line. It was west of our property. And there were many times they couldn't make it up that hill and they had to drive all the way around to Council Bluffs and back out. So I understand those concerns, but we have always hoped, since we've been there, that someday that road would not be rock anymore, because there's a lot of problems with that too. And before we came, we lived in Council Bluffs, and the house we lived in had a dirt road, and about 2 years before we moved, they paved it. And of course, there's an assessment. I heard somebody concerned about that. Most of the time, or it used to be that way, we ended up having to pay for it when we sold the house. Okay, so we paid it in full. But you can also set it up that whoever's assuming the property will take over that. So to answer that question, I don't know if things have changed, but that was the way when we moved out there. And we may end up not being there long enough. My husband and I are getting a lot older, and our house has a lot of stairs, and every day we think about moving, but we love it out there. And I think you'll find that most of the people that live out there love it and they don't want to leave. And it's a great place to be, so.
Thank you.
John, the interest rates here, I know you're not a mathematician, but maybe I ask you.
What's wrong with my math?
The interest is figured at 4.5. If it was figured at 1.5 to 2,
Not to speak for John here, I think John put together a proposal that should be in your agenda packet.
Sure.
That addresses that. John, if you want
The
to
interest
jump
rate
into
is
that.
a government website that sets a maximum. So it sets a maximum, doesn't give a recommendation really. I just have the maximum, just to have something to start with. I think our last interest rate for our last bond is 1.6.
okay,
Yeah, I ran those numbers for you.
okay.
I think there's kind of another question as far as, you guys have the authority to combine these petitions, because you can change them, so I know that was Justin's interest, and I also gave you a proposal on that.
Yeah, I just don't, if we move forward with this, I just don't feel like it's fair to have two different rates when you know damn well it's gonna be the same contractor doing the same work in the same time frame. I don't feel like it's that fair that the neighbor that's right on the dividing line has to pay a different rate than the person that's on the other side. So I think two things, well, I should say three things. Number one, and I said it before, that I think the county should have a higher interest in this as far as how much interest meaning how much we pay. I think the county should have a little more weight on that than what we've proposed so far. I think that it needs to be a fair rate for all those concerned on this one. And I mean, I guess lastly, it's just, it needs to make sense. I mean, it needs to make sense that we're doing this, and this is not a simple, easy thing for any of us up here to make this decision and do. I mean, trust me, if I could pave every road, I would, because to me, it's easier, quicker to maintain, and it's done. But on the flip side, I understand the aspect of folks that want to live out on the gravel road and not have that traffic and not have those things too. I represent both sides. I've lived on both, majority of my life, my entire life, I've been in the county except when I was in college. I understand, what we're up against when we're out here. Now, Minster Springs Road where I live today is a little bit closer to the city, so yeah, I'm not probably as rural as some of you folks are on Leisure Lane, but the reality is, like, I get it. This isn't an easy decision for us to make, so, and I think what everyone's had to say on both sides is not making this any easier. It's making it more complicated to me. So, but I want it to be fair, and I want the interest rate to make sense, and I think the county should have more skin in the game.
Okay, we get a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
I'll second. Second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Chairman Bell?
Aye.
Supervisor Shea?
Yeah.
Whitman?
Aye.
Schultz? Aye. And Groby?
Aye.
Okay. Now we need to set the date of final hearing for Leisure Lane Secondary Road Assessment District.
If I can, we have a meeting with the county attorney on the county's procedures and plans for determining the special assessment district, who participates and at what level on the 2nd of November. I think that it would probably take us at least 2 weeks to come up with a plan and procedure for Potawatomi County to address not only the existing petitions, but any petitions that come down the road. So I'd like for the board to put off our final hearing on this until probably at least, I don't know, maybe 7th of December. You think that'll be done by then, Brian?
Well, I think it would be done, yeah. I was wondering if the 23rd or the 30th.
I'd like to make sure we give all parties enough time to take a look at.
Yeah, I want to physically go walk that road too and just take a look at the whole thing.
So, okay, I'll make a motion to set the date and time for the final hearing for the Leisure Avenue Secondary Road Assessments Districts for December 7th, 10 o'clock.
Second.
Chapter,
Shay.
chapter, did you get a second for that?
Yeah, Supervisor Shay.
So the, chapter 311, if any of you have taken a look at it, is so bland and doesn't really give the county a direction of which way to go and how to assess who to include in the district, who not to include. And I think some of those answers need to be addressed before we move forward with this. So I appreciate everybody's concern for the road if it was turned to a seal coat, and I also appreciate and understand everybody's desire to have a seal coat road. There's way too many questions, I think, for me to make any kind of a call today on how I'm going to either address or vote or anything else on this, knowing full well that we have about 1,200 miles of gravel road in Potawatomi County, and I'm sure everybody would love to have it seal coated. Obviously, we can't afford to do it all. So, with that, I'll.
Can I just ask for a point of clarification? I heard somebody ask in the back, and I wanted to verify as well too. 7th as in 7 or 2nd as in 2 for the next meeting?
7th.
7th, number 7. Got it.
December 7th.
Pearl Harbor Day.
Thank you.
December 7th.
That's a date that will live in infamy.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
At 10 o'clock is what we're, is on the motion here today. Now, and we'll gather a bunch of information because for the time that I've been up here, this is the first one that we really got to come up with some policies and procedures for these. There seem to be more, I guess, interest in doing these roads by certain, I guess, roads and neighbors in certain parts of the county, and we just need to be consistent and be upfront with how it's going to work in the process and such. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
will you guys give me some direction on what to do for a mailing? We'll have the meeting with the county attorney, then should I just bring a letter back for your approval, and I'll just notify all these folks again so that they're all aware when the next meeting is and what's kind of gone into the decision process today, just so we have.
Well, we set the meeting for December 7th.
Right.
What more information do you need?
Well, we're gonna combine petitions. We talked about percentage changes, interest rate changes, some of those things. I just need to maybe solidify those, make sure you approve of what I'm sending out, then send it out.
John, I'd feel a lot more comfortable answering that question after November 2nd. So when we have our answers from the attorney, then I think we can give you that answer. And then, yes, I think you should. I think at that point, it'd be fair for you to get a letter out to everyone to let them know, like, here's what you're facing. Because I think right now, no one really knows what you're really paying. You think you're paying about, what, $5,100 maybe? But you don't really know. So I'd rather that number be honest and everyone have that before the decision's made. So why don't you December 2nd, are you coming to that meeting?
Yeah, I'll bring you a draft after we get that wrapped
So
up.
yeah, we should be able to get something out, I would say, by the week of the 9th to everyone. And they have a few weeks to chew on it before we bring it back to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Go from there.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I think that's it.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign.
Heather, can I get your last name?
Smith,
Oh, you related to Matt?
unfortunately.
All right.
20 years of marriage will do that to you.
You get to tease all you want to after that one, right?
Thank you all for coming.
Love you.
Look, his baby's 20 years. I've been married 54 years.
Well, we haven't killed each other yet. There's still time.
I won't make it that long. I'll die before that.
Tracy, it was good to see you. Good to see you, Brian.
Mr. Whitman, I got a note from
Dwayne's in
the county
quarantine.
auditor and agrees with me that
Is he okay?
He's okay. I was too, a few weeks ago. We both had our shots, so I think it,
You're on, Rick.
Tell me about it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Brian.
Bye, guys.
we both had our shots, so I didn't get very sick, but I did have to quarantine. And now he's in quarantine, so. You have a good day.
Tell Dwayne I said hello.
I will.
Okay.
Red Bull vodka. You just get drunk and be very, very energetic, huh?
No, you want to change the cameras back?
say
Oh, Marilyn?
What happened?
I cannot get, I can't get the camera, I can't get that camera to work.
I thought it was just a.
Up here. Mitch, you're done with the overhead.
Wow. That was a fun meeting.
Oh, wow.
Let's see, I thought it was just, it says amendment, but I think it's, just an extension of the agreement. There's nothing amended in it, was there?
Okay, I couldn't find anything.
I couldn't either. I mean, that's the way I took it.
No wonder why I couldn't find anything.
We just have
Well,
to,
look, it's the
every so many years, we
quarter
have to
employee.
do it, so.
Well, our electronic filings are getting where we have over, what would you say, probably 75% of ours are all filed electronically now. And I think it's just taken a lot more, time and on the Recorders Association, so the Iowa Land Records, is gonna help do part of that. It's the way I understand
Is
it.
our old records electronically filed now?
Yeah.
All of
They're
them?
digitized back to 70, I think it's 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need a motion and a second to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution number 111-2021 entitled Resolution Authorizing the Execution of the Amended and Substituted County Electronic Service System 2080 Agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, two questions for you, Marilyn. I hope this is not catching you off guard. I should have got you before the meeting, but
That's okay.
when you mentioned the Iowa Land Records, we participate with them in all of our legal documents.
Yes.
Is that site still free to anybody that wants to use it?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
You're up front, Lee.
Okay, a roll call?
Chairman Belt,
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman, Groby, Schultz,
Aye.
and Shay.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was it?
Thanks, easy on me.
You learned something there?
Yeah. Always learning.
Sorry, Andrew.
Short and sweet.
Okay, next up, we have Jason Slack, Director, Buildings and Ground, and Garfield Coleman, Risk Safety Manager, Discussion and Decision, Temporary ADA Ramp Safety Measure. Okay, gentlemen, who's starting this on out?
So, the board is aware that we've had some safety issues with the temporary handicap ramp on the west side of the building. We had about roughly a dozen people slip and fall while the ramp was wet. Since then, we've gone through and put a slip-resistant coating on the ramp, and we haven't had an incident since that has been applied. We did go ahead and get some bids for an awning, a cover that would come, it could completely turn that thing into pretty much a tunnel. It would come down the sides all the way below the deck. The bids were quite high. The other thing with them, we don't even know, both of these companies said they wouldn't even be able to get to it this year due to lead times on the material. So, we looked into possibly putting some heat tape underneath the ramp to maybe melt snow. We had the engineer come out, take a look at that. That really wasn't a viable option. It wasn't gonna do the trick, so. Since then, Garfield and I have been in some talks. And I guess we need the board to decide if we should do this awning or not.
So I have a question, away from the awning, kind of related to this though. Isn't there a door on the side that has a ramp that goes down to the elevators?
It's not ADA compliant.
Why?
It's to the slope.
Can it be?
I'll let
Could you
Jason
put the
talk about
ramp
that.
inside
I think
there to make it
It's
ADA
too steep
compliant?
of a slope.
No, couldn't you put a new ramp in there? I'm not saying bust out concrete, I'm saying put a new ramp on top of it that's less grade.
With the elevators being there, and I just don't think that that's possible.
Okay.
Was there security concern about using that door too as well?
Yeah, Sam had an
I
issue
think
with
Sam had some concerns about it too.
Initially, that was one of our options, was to use that ramp rather than use this ADA compliant ramp. And we decided from a liability standpoint that it made more sense to do this temporary ramp.
Well, I mean, so we want to pitch the idea of having a cover, but we can't get the cover till next year, and we're about to go into winter like tomorrow. So I mean,
I feel confident that we can take care of the ramp and keep it clear. Right now, it's not slippery when it's wet. We haven't had any incidents on it.
What about scaffolding? I mean, why couldn't we just have a scaffold built over the top of the whole thing? Have we looked at that? Because that material's available today.
Yeah, I have not looked at that.
A lot of places that have construction will do that. Same concept. It's a tunnel, basically, and they wrap that plastic around the outside of it, and then we just pay a monthly fee of while we have it. You know, it's not cheap, but one accident is not gonna be cheap for us either.
I agree with
That
that.
was our major concern, one accident. We put the slippery coating on there, but we don't know whether when we put salt and stuff on that metal ramp, whether it's gonna hold up, and you can't put more slip resistant on that ramp in cold weather. And I think it has to be, 50 degrees above? So if you start taking away that slip resistant coating, then we might have some issues going down the road.
I would, this is my opinion, but I think I would urge you to look at doing that. Just build a structure, a scaffold over the top of the whole damn thing. We don't have to worry about it. Then you don't have to worry about cleaning it up, really. I mean, you don't have to push snow off it anymore. It's just gonna be covered the whole time.
Okay. As far as the scaffold, what would be used as just a tarp over the top of the scaffolding?
I'd leave that up to the scaffold people and tell them what you're trying to accomplish, and they can do it. I mean, we do it. I'll tell you, in like an industry, like out of the ethanol industry where I come from, every year we call them hobo huts. But basically, we build a scaffold around our boilers that are outside. They build a roof over the top of it. They've got these long, basically, they're just like what you use for building a home or a building with, that connect over it, and then they'll wrap that with a rubber or plastic. They'll put it at a grade, so that way everything comes off of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks like, doesn't look great, but I really would rather not be on the front cover of a newspaper for someone falling and getting hurt either.
It could cost everybody substantially.
That's one solution. I don't know.
No, I agree with you, Justin, that we need to take a look at some other options, and I would request that our maintenance department do everything they can to keep that clean. For the cost of this awning, we could almost put up a metal building over the whole site.
What was the cost? What was it?
$90,000 for the cheapest one.
So this scaffold, the scaffold's not cheap. We're not talking those kind of dollars though.
Yeah, I mean,
No way.
86 and 120.
there's, I think there's some other alternatives, I agree with you, Justin, that we could look at before we spend $90,000 on a tarp. So,
I can get you a list of ones that, that we use anyway, and you can get bids and see if any of those make sense to you. I mean.
Okay.
We need to do something soon though.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's it doesn't take him long to do it either. I mean, it's pretty quick, couple days,
Okay.
Was it all sitting out in California on the boats? Is that where all the material's at?
I couldn't tell you.
You know, if it takes a year to get it, there's no sense of.
No.
Well, then you're butting up against the time of us getting the damn thing done anyway, so.
Okay, so you're gonna come back with some other, recommendations. We're not gonna do anything with this.
I'll get you an email today with the,
Is
at
that-
least 3 different ones I know of that you could get bids from, that are local anyway, and then you can decide how to go from there, if this is the route you wanna go.
No, that's fine, I appreciate it.
So the scaffolding will be temporary, just during the winter time, and then it comes down. And then for next winter, if the project's not completed, we'll put the scaffolding back up. That'll save the county money as well, so.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper than your 90 grand, for sure.
Right.
It works.
I think, just for my sake, we leave it up to you to how to figure that out. I mean, I'll give you the contacts and then you guys can take it from there. I don't really think it's necessary to bring it back to the board to decide.
They even talked about a carport to go over the whole thing, might have been something a little bit different too, but we wasn't for sure for its cosmetics, whether the board gonna say, how does this look?
It's not gonna be pretty, whatever way we go.
We also
Safety.
don't know if the
Right.
city would allow something like that either.
Pardon?
We don't know if the city would allow it like a carport type structure.
Probably not that, but scaffolding would, it's temporary, you know.
We could probably work with the city and get something taken care of temporarily.
Okay.
I have confidence in that.
And you got a scaffolding company on site already, so, I don't know who it is, but there's one out there that, hey.
Are they one of the ones that bid this? That put the ramp up?
No.
Okay.
No, we actually called 4 different awning companies, and from those, we got 2 bids, and they weren't too certain about when they could get material, and they weren't promising anything, so.
If you guys wanna come down and come down to Sire and look at what we got going on there, you're more than welcome. Just give me a call and I'll show you what we got. You can see if that makes sense to you or not, I mean. I would think you would accomplish your goals though.
Let's see what's out there and expect to hear back. At least give us a guesstimate what the thing says. But we wanna get it moving ASAP.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Andy Brown coming today?
No, he is not.
Okay.
He had called Heather and said that, he had, let me see.
So then we're moving on to other business.
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution 110-2021. It's a resolution appointing deputies for our best in the state treasurer and her 2 deputies, Jamie Smothers and Heather Osborne.
Second.
You owe me for that.
I just have a comment. I have a swimming pool tarp at home that Robin won't put on the swimming pool if you'd like to use it. I would be glad to give it to you and donate to you, and that would be a lot cheaper than going through scaffolding.
I have one too.
And I'll bring it tomorrow. So do we need to do this?
Well, yeah, wait just a second. So Jamie was,
Jamie's already been the deputy,
okay, that's what I thought.
and then Becky resigned, so
Okay.
she left. So Heather is replacing
Right.
Becky.
Okay. So we don't need to swear.
No, not Jamie, because she's already been.
We need to swear at Heather.
We need to swear at Heather and
Yeah.
get her in.
Okay.
That's what we gotta do. We gotta get her in there.
Get right up there.
Well, I don't like this part. I don't like public speaking.
This ain't public.
Yeah.
Do we
Yes,
have
it
a,
is.
roll call on
Roll,
that?
yeah, roll call.
Chairman Bell?
Aye.
Supervisors
Put your
Wickman?
arm up, really.
Roby?
Aye.
Schultz?
You can do it.
Are you an
Here,
aye?
you, I'd like you to do it, sir, because you're more important than I am.
I am such I would be happy to do that.
Really, Lee?
Well, I would have done it.
You can do it. Why don't you do it again? Let him do it first and then you can do it. Everybody can take
Go
it
face
first.
this way. There you go. Yep.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Heather Osborne,
I, Heather Osborne,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of First Deputy Treasurer
discharge all the duties of the office of the First Deputy Treasurer
in Potawatomi County,
in Potawatomi County,
State of Iowa,
State of Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now hereafter required by law.
Awesome, well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll say those photos.
Thank
You'll
you.
need to sign that.
Yes, I have. Awesome. Yes, and Heather had one this morning. Perfect.
Does something need to be signed on that?
Just Heather and I, it says on there.
Okay, perfect.
And then I think you get it, don't you?
No, you keep that on
I
file.
keep it.
Well, do you have Jamie's?
Do I have Jamie's?
You-
No, because I thought you kept those in the auditor's office.
Oh, okay, well, I can keep
Or
it somewhere.
Jenna keeps them, I don't know. You can keep it? You wanna
All
keep
right,
it?
yeah, we'll keep it.
Can you just put it,
I'll put it in the rest of it.
put it with the rest of them?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Jamie Peterson, GIS Coordinator, and David, Chief Information Officer, and Jana Limerick, Director of Human Resources. Discussion and or decision to approve job descriptions for GIS Analysts 1, 2, and 3, and GIS Coordinator.
Can you give a speech, Jana?
No, it's all Jamie.
Okay, Jamie, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so, the ask is to approve these job descriptions. The GIS analyst is becoming a series, a 1, 2, and 3. We've never had that in the past. We've had GIS specialists, GIS analysts, GIS supervisor, GIS coordinator. 2 of those 3 would go away, the GIS supervisor and the GIS specialist. And we would wrap those into the GIS analyst 1, 2, and 3. We've talked about that. We feel like it gives us a better, instead of, the analyst is doing the same type of work. They're just doing it differently and with less supervision and with more independence. And so as a person progresses from a 1, 2, and 3, they're not necessarily getting a different title. We don't need to call them a GIS specialist or a GIS supervisor. They're really doing an analyst type work. And so this kind of clarifies those 3 into a single grouping. It changes the top end for the GIS Analyst 3. So that position, and we've talked about this between David and Jana and I, is in line with what Baker Tilly showed, and also in line with what I think is good, replacement value, like for like situation. If, the GIS department is small, we're only 2 people. We used to be 4. We've kind of optimized. With that comes a little bit more risk. Now when we lose someone, we have to replace them with someone that's capable to do that replacement of the positions that they've taken on over time. And so I think this locks that into that for the long term. This isn't necessarily a short-term idea. It's more of a long-term plan for the GIS department as a whole. And with that as well, the GIS coordinator position becoming a department, like it was in the past, separate from IT. So we have separate budgets now, and this would basically go back to how we were, 10 years ago with 2 separate departments.
Is there education requirements in these 2 different positions?
Yeah, so the GIS analyst 1, 2, and 3 have different levels. So at a 1, you can have only work experience and make that work. The requirements come in at the 2 and the 3. So a bachelor's degree for a 2, substitute with a master's, and at the analyst 3 level is a bachelor's degree, master's degree, also a substitute there.
Certainly with experience, they all have that, you know, a certain amount of experience will trump those. They also have a GISP certification, which is a GIS professional certification that we renew on a 4-year basis. Bill and I both have that certification. It's an accrued contributions to your profession. So you present at a conference, you do a paper, you do something published in a map book, you do certain education requirements, and you do certain work experience requirements. And so over the course of those 4 years, you turn in an application. I have that as a requirement within 1 year for any GIS Analyst 3. So that's a pretty hard thing to get to. Not a lot of, you know, no one entry level would come in with that. That's not something that you can get through just even education. You have to have a pretty steady history of being a good GIS professional.
Jenny, you reviewed this and you're okay with it?
Yes.
I'm okay with it. I spoke with Jamie about it. I think everyone did. David, you're all right with it?
Absolutely.
Effective date is July 1 of 2022.
Correct.
I'll make that motion to approve the job description for the GIS Analyst 1, 2, 3, and the GIS Coordinator. Second.
Okay. Is there market data for
Effective
July 1st.
July 1 of 2022.
for your wages?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and so when Jamie took a look at it, we looked at where does it fit into our current wage scale based on where we think externally, you know, the market did and what Baker Tilly says, and internally, what we think we could do to, and keep our employees, and this is what we've come up with. I think it's fair and appropriate wages.
What's our total cost of wage? Calculate that up.
The total additional budget cost is going to be, now this number includes the step changes that happened in July, $13,000. So,
No, go ahead.
that number is kind of hard to judge because of the budgeted number last year and then that July increase. I don't know what percentage of that was already increased, was going to be an increase, if that makes sense. Because I did these numbers before that happened.
I mean, we didn't really combine IT and GIS budgets.
The budgets have never been combined, they've always been separate budgets because they come out of different service areas.
Right, that's what I
So they
thought.
couldn't be combined.
Okay.
So we still have a GIS budget and an IT budget today. So that was never got combined. What was combined was my leadership over the two because of my personal history.
No, I understand that background a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll get that 13,000 back out of yours then?
No. You'll see it in the budget request this upcoming November, December, yeah.
But my next question, is there a budget savings over the 4 people versus 2?
There certainly has been all these, for a decade. Yeah. We've been saving these dollars essentially.
Yeah, but IT's been eating that up every year, so it's fine.
We had two retirements basically, and just never, we absorbed all that.
Okay.
Well, for quite a few years, we had an intern.
Yep.
3 and then an intern and such.
Thanks for putting this stuff together.
But we don't want, we really don't ever want to be in a position where we're becoming a training ground and flipping people, I don't think.
And I think by having that 1, 2, and 3 will really help with that, so that they see, even though it's a very small department, we'll kind of see a little bit of a career ladder and what I can work towards, so that hopefully that they don't do that. And then, so then in June, when we do department head contracts, Jamie will have one as well. And that's how it was when David was over that department, so Jamie would have a contract too.
But it appears that, and Bill does a great job from what I can see over there, not that you don't do a great job too, Jamie, but the amount of requests or work that GIS is doing for multiple departments just seems to get more and more every year what it can do. And
It's a growing thing, and there's also more, state requirements that come out with, redistricting. We're gonna be doing redistricting with GIS software, and I will be driving that software. Next Gen 911 for dispatch and roads, and so there's more and more top-down requirements for GIS data submissions, business property tax credit, a lot of different areas are now, not just, we want a map, we want the data to go with it. We want you to turn it in every year, we want you to turn it in, monthly to get checked on. So yeah, there's a lot more of that that's happened even in the last, 5 years.
You'll get, the Potawatomi County redistricting, they approve the map, someone sends it to you, and then you fine tune it?
So I'll work with Christy. Christy and I have both done training on redistricting. The Secretary of State's office has a platform that they've distributed, and they've provided training. We both attended it. Christy is going to backseat drive and I'm going to push the buttons. That's kind of how it's going to work. It's too complicated for a non-GIS person to really just sit down and use it. And so there needs to be someone to click. And how this works is we take precincts and we group census blocks together. We reach a certain population amount and then we go on. And we have to wait for those changes to come down from the state before we can finally set our boundaries, because if a legislative boundary is different than what we have now, it will impact our current precincts. So if nothing changes, that will be relatively straightforward, but it's still a process.
I don't see that happening. I think something's gonna change. Okay, any other discussion?
I'm good.
Good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Okay, next up,
Yes.
Thanks, Jan.
Finance Tax Officer, discussion for decision to approve and authorize the board to sign Board Resolution 109-2021 entitled Resolution Authorizing Transfer from Rural Service Fund to Secondary Road Fund.
Shay seconded it.
She did? Brian, did you second that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
We're waiting.
Oh.
What?
We're waiting for you to second it. I'll second it because Brian won't.
Why are you waiting for me?
Okay.
I told him to slow down.
Okay, it's from the Rural Services Fund to the Secondary Roads Fund.
We do this every quarter,
Yeah.
so John will have money.
Give John his money. Okay, any other discussion? Roll call?
Chairman Belt?
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman?
Aye.
Roby?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
And Shay.
Aye.
John's previous auditor would not give him any money when he was down in Montgomery County. She wouldn't transfer any money from
Before we adjourn, I want to get an update, Matt, 2080 agreement with the education coordinator for the soil and water districts.
Have you read your emails in the past 10 minutes or 20 minutes?
Oh, I did. I saw something. Oh, wait, but.
Did you send that to us to review?
I did not.
I replied to the email with an update in that Matt has sent it to me. I sent it to Jim and Mike, just to review it.
Can we take a look at it?
It's very, very draft form, but you betcha I can send it to you. And then I've reached out to them to get their job description, and haven't had a response back from them yet. So that's where we are. I mean, I think, Matt, for sure November, we can get this all wrapped up.
I'd like to put that on a little bit quicker track.
I'm good. It's been out of my hands for a week or so. I've been waiting for the ag folks to get back to us, so.
Yeah, because we do need that job description to continue to move forward.
They've probably been pretty busy, I'm guessing. Jim and Mike.
Perrier Coke.
Oh.
Or FNNIC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we been in contact with East and West Soil Conservation?
I sent them an email asking for the job description.
When did you do that?
Can you remind me what one of their names is? Sorry.
Becky.
Cammy?
Well,
K-A-M-I, right?
should've went to Becky, probably.
I sent it on the 21st.
Okay.
I'll resend it.
Okay.
Becky and then Brooke. And then, we need to probably, sooner than later start scheduling some budget discussions.
Yeah.
You know,
It's getting that time.
if you want, and I think we have Mitch get those lined up and start bringing them in. And
You want me to meet with them beforehand?
well, that's up to you. I mean, but we need to get them in here and then kind of get a, I guess, overview of where we're at with the budget so far too.
10% cuts across the board.
I think it'd be easier if we had Mitch beat him up a little bit first.
It's not so bad when it comes in.
Yeah. Well, no, we have really great department heads. We really do probably are the best in the state. I mean, look at, we've got a county attorney, a treasurer,
Oh, come on.
HR.
Thank you.
You know what?
Right here.
Can't vote for you, you don't have to say that.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, take all this.
What?
Yep.
What's true?
You can't vote for him yet.
Oh, right.
Okay, we have some, we have some things that we need to sign. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. I'll second it there.
Okay. Seconded by Shaq. Discussion?
11:31.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like